Resizing with auto layout. So we've learned that we can simply turn any element into an auto layout frame. We can adjust the spacing and the sizing and padding, and as we alter the content, then we can see that our frame corresponds. Now, it works really well like this because if we have a look again, this is a vertical auto layout frame. But what we also want this frame to do is that if we resize it, then we want our content to also respond like that. And for that to work, we need to add an additional layer of auto layout, which is called Resize settings. You can find the Resize setting at the top of the layout box. If you have auto layout applied, this might be at a parent frame or a nested frame, then you can find it inside of here. But also any element inside of an auto layout frame, if you click on it, then you're going to get the layout box with the Resize settings for this element. And this is the part we're interested in. So it's really important to understand that while we apply auto layout to the parent frame, the auto layout menu determines the behavior of all child elements within that frame. So the alignment for all of these elements, the spacing for all of these elements. Now, if we want to set up how these elements should behave individually, then we need to select them and set their resizing behavior, not the resizing behavior of the overall frame. The current options we have is a fixed size, fill the container, or hug the contents. Auto layout became really good at guessing what behavior you might want. So you might actually get away with this. For example, this image here is already set to fill the container. And this is because auto layout detected a similar margin left and right. But I would strongly recommend that you don't rely on these presets and really try to understand once how to set up proper resizing. The resize settings is usually the part where people get most confused about auto layout, but it's not that difficult. It's really just understanding it once and practicing it a little bit. The crucial part is to go step by step. You can't rush this. So go bit by bit. The first thing we're going to select is our image. Now let's go to our drop down and let's set this to fill the container. That means that if we resize the container, it's gonna, well, what it says, fill it, always respecting the padding that we set left and right. Here we're dealing with a horizontal setup, so I'm not worrying too much about the vertical setup. Still, I'm going to have this one here at a fixed height. That means that my image is always fixed at this specific height. You can also lock the aspect ratio, so that means now that if you resize, then the ratio is kept. But for now, let's just keep it at a fixed height. Now I'm going to go with the next element, which is my text, and I want to do the same. I don't want this to be fixed at a size. I want this to be horizontally to fill the container. And I'm going to do the same for my copy text. I also want this to fill the container. Now with text, I don't want to fix the height because I don't know how high this is going to be if I add more text or if I resize. This is why I want this to hug. Hug is a really cute little feature. Basically think of it like giving a hug to the vertical content. When dealing with copy text in auto layout, and hereby I mean anything that's not a button or a link, then make sure that it's always set to auto hide. Usually auto layout does it by itself. And that's already pretty much it. Let's resize our box now, and you can see that everything follows nicely. And even if I change my text, so let's add some more copy text here. You can see because this is set to auto hide and hug, the box automatically expands and auto layout responds. I can still change things like my spacing and my sizing with the auto layout menu. But if I resize, then everything will behave the way it was intended to. The auto layout feature in Figma is pretty smart. So if I, for example, have a button here I want to add, and I turn this into auto layout, then you can see it does not only automatically pick up all the spacing, but it also already gives me a suggested resize setting. Now in a button, hug, horizontally and hug vertically makes sense, because if I change this, so let's say change it to read more, then you can see that I want this to be hugged horizontally as well. And by the way, I can also drag one auto layout frame inside another one. The button would be nested and it would keep its resize settings. If we wanted to move it around, then what we could do is use the alignment. And we could also change its resize settings. So for example, if we wanted a full size button, then we could change this to fill container and it would sit in the middle. And note, if your text is stuck to the left, then this is probably because the alignment of the button is still set to left and you can change it to center.